Well, thanks for staying with us on the program this morning. Let's jump straight right into the conversation, and it's on concern by financial experts on Nigeria's debt profile and the debt servicing ratio, which, according to reports this morning, has crossed way over 131%. That is Nigeria's debt servicing ratio to revenue generation. Now, joining us on the program is an ardent economic analyst, a social commentator as well, Dr. Aliyu Ilias. Doctor, good morning to you and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, Doctor, I know there's always the mantra of there's no harm in borrowing. It is what the borrowing is used for that should be the concern. It's been the adage bandied about quite recently. But do you have any concerns about this fresh loan request on the table of the National Assembly from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for $21.5 billion external loan and a 758 billion naira pension bond?
Right. For me, I saw it coming. And when I say I saw it coming, you recall that our budget is a proposed income and proposed expenditure. And that's a basic definition of budget. But from the look of things now, our budget, we cannot finance it again. Because if you look at all our baseline, what we base the budget on, that is the expected income is being affected. And first is the oil price globally. We're expecting, I think our benchmark should be around $70 to $80. Now it's down doing about $60 to $65 per barrel. So it is expected that we go back borrowing. But for me, I'm a proponent that our budget is even small. It's too small compared to for a country of this size. When you look at a country like South Africa, country like Egypt, among others. So for me, it is expected that we'll go borrowing. And like you rightly mentioned, you want to quote economists that we always say debt is not actually, but it's not bad if you actually know what you're using it for. But for me, I have issue with getting bond to pay for pension. Because it reflects that we have been inactive. We have been having a backlog of unpaid pension, which is bad. I don't think our senior citizens deserve to be delayed like that. So paying them through borrowing, it's not a good one at all, because you're actually borrowing for a recurrent expenditure that does not have direct impact on citizens. When I say direct impact, remember, if it's capital project and you're building a road, you're building a school, you're building a PHC, primary health care, we'll say that, oh, this money we are borrowing is going to reflect on the betterment or socio-economic life of people, or social infrastructure of people. But as it is now, it's going actually on salary, on pension, as it were. It's not a good one. So for me, I will never support us borrowing for recurrent expenditure.
Now we'll come to the pension part, but let's go back to the budget. Much like you said, it's common knowledge now that our budget is in deficit, but there was some controversies last week owing to a report released by Budget, where they said about 11,000 projects were injected into the budget of 2025, and this were some of their concerns on the budget being small, in your words, and not also accommodating these injections that seem as though it's under the notion of being padded. How do we dispel these rumors and mean more concerns about the budget?
Well, Nigeria, we have been bedeviled with different nomenclature when it comes to budget in the National Assembly. But for me, I believe padding exists. I can also tell you that authoritatively. And when I say it exists, the basic definition of padding simply means that you infuse projects that will benefit your own area. Now, those things that they actually mentioned, they are true simply because if I'm the National Assembly, I want to cater to the need of my people in my area. So I find a way in which I will infuse. Perhaps if I'm even heading a particular committee, I would like to do it to the advantage of my people in my community, my constituency. So I think that actually exists, but it's only sad that they are not following the normal procedure. It's not what is being discussed. It's not what is being in an open, everybody is finding a way to actually infuse something. If at all is a project that we are going to see, that the money will not end up in the pocket, it should have been better, because it could be development of hospital, development of borehole, if they find their way into the budget and the budget still remain executed, that will be fine. Because I can tell you, majority of our budget, with the way things may not be achieved, as it were. But the thing is that we must prioritize what benefit, just like Pareto analysis, that anything that benefit 80% of people is damn good. You understand? So if you are bringing something that will benefit majority, I think it's a good one. But going side by side, and that simply means you have serious issues. You recall that even the National Assembly, their major responsibility is not bringing about bills. You bring bills when it is necessary. You don't just go and handpick something and present the National Assembly. But the major job is to oversight function. So if you are the one doing the oversight function and you're also being accused of infusing something into the budget, it becomes a double jeopardy for Nigeria. We hope that Nigeria will get it right in terms of making sure that we have much more capital projects in our budget.
Now, talking about capital projects too, I don't know if you recall, but this time last year, there was a lot of concerns on Nigerian's pension fund. It stemmed from a report that the federal government was planning to dip its hand into the pension funds to finance 5,000 kilometers of road. Criticisms followed that decision by former VP Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who says the law only permits 5% of pension funds to be used for such, and the federal government was intending to use over 20 trillion naira for that. Now, this brings us back to the conversations on this new request for 758 billion naira for pension bonds. I don't know what's the true situation of where we are as regards our pension fund and this additional request.
Right, so that's where transparency is very, very key, because if we could get it in a transparent manner, we know they actually desire that. But for me, I don't think we should go borrow for pension. Like I said, it's a recurrent expenditure, and it would not be good to get a bond or to borrow for it. Now, we have been able to increase our revenue, according to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, through removal of fuel subsidy, floating of naira, and also
reportedly over 18 trillion naira was saved in the last 2 years.
Even through customs, you could see customs has come to declare they have made more money. FRS has also declared more money,
surpassing their target.
So I think we should make use of this area to actually pay for what we need, because if we continue borrowing, it will subjugate Nigerians, especially people coming into much a debt life, which we have been lucky that someone like President Olusegun Obasanjo was able to defray it to a large extent. If not even virtually everything was actually, there was debt forgiven. So for me, I think we should make use of what we have. We must not do more. And the problem is that if you recall now, even with our budget, what we use for debt servicing, it's very, very way too high. So we must make sure that we curtail it, not increasing it. Well, from look of things, it's like we are bent on continuous borrowing.
Now, logically speaking, especially off the back of the intention to use from the pension fund to finance 5,000 kilometers of road, do you think that no concrete plans were made as to how that money would be reimbursed into the purse? And now this request for pension bond is somewhat in a way to manage that deficit.
Well, to have deficit budget, it's not a bad thing. In fact, it's sometimes it's a system to actually help the economy. It can deploy such a system. But the problem is that when you are borrowing, what are you borrowing for? I can give you some example. If we borrow to fix Ajakuta, if we borrow to build a rail to connect, government is doing Sokoto Badagry. If you are borrowing for that, we know that it may not directly pay, but indirectly, the Nigerian will benefit from it, and it will come a way to actually, help the economy. But if you are borrowing for a recurrent expenditure, it simply means you are sinking the money down without. In fact, some people will argue economically that it's going to bring much more growth in the economy. But I can tell you it's too temporary, for us as a country to be looking at that area. If you inject fund into the economy, it's going to affect temporarily, because after the money has been expended, what actually next? And that's why we must discourage anything that will not be capital expenditure.
Now, for this recurrent expenditure you're speaking about, we're still in the fear of not keeping with our budget cycle. The 2024 budget had its lifespan extended by 1 month, and up until now we have not officially commenced use of the 2025 budget. Why is this so, and how is it possible in streamlining the activities of our budget cycle to run from January to December?
Honestly, it's a negative optics for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because President Muhammadu Buhari was able to keep the budget cycle as expected, and it makes people to actually follow the expenditure, and what have you of the budget. But now, as it is now, I doubt if this will not continue. You must make sure that budget cycle is being maintained, because it will reflect a lot of things. It will reflect transparency. It also reflect discipline in our finances. It also give us budget discipline, whereby you start from a particular period and a particular period. People are expected to execute their project. I remember during Buhari, if you did not even complete execution, you have to refund that money to the federation account, which makes a lot of sense. But if you give it that room, it will also give room for corruption. But people will say the budget has been, shifted, and the implementation will continue to shift like that, and things will not be done. And it will not be in a rush when you are trying to defend one budget is still ongoing. That means we will now have double.
2 budget cycles running concurrently.
Yes, then double requests will now start coming. So, because if you have not executed a particular project and is in the previous budget, you can actually still bring it down to the new budget, because you show that there is no activities in place where they're supposed to expend that money. So for me, I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must do something urgent to make sure that he reverse that. 2026 budget can start from now, and by September present to National Assembly. Before December is being passed, and will maintain the actual budget cycle.
Now, not to compare the previous administration to the current one under the then President Muhammadu Buhari, who was criticized for borrowing even until the last hours in office through ways and means from the CBN. The current presidency issued a statement sometime last month saying that Nigerians ought to applaud President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for not toeing the path of borrowing from the ways and means, and has been running the country fairly without borrowing up until now. Now, with this, do you feel that this is more like going back to eat the vomit?
Right. For me, I think they are still bed of the same feather, because it's a tactical method to say yes, we are not borrowing yet, but we are still going to borrow. Even in the President Muhammadu Buhari, there is a borrowing plan already that the Tinubu administration is going to follow. Like I said, borrowing is not bad, but what you are borrowing for is the problem. Perhaps we have said that we have more money, because of what we have
subsidy gains.
Exactly. So why are we now borrowing? It's too early to borrow now, because if you say you are borrowing, let's look at it maybe after first 2 years, first 2 years cycle, that could be a campaign score for you. But we see you from now borrowing for a recurrent expenditure.
Talking about first 2 years, tomorrow is his midterm anniversary, and so far so good. In the last 2 years, how would you rate the capital expenditure and the outcomes that are visible to Nigerians?
Right. So when we talk about what is visible, I think we've seen road construction, we've seen salary increment, we've also seen the effort of monetary policy to actually make sure that they ramp up good economy, bring about good economy. But it also has this negative side, because we've seen insecurity higher than what we expected. We've also seen the economy. People are much more into poverty compared to before. We have also seen that purchasing power has been eroded. So it has a lot of up and down. So by and large, I'll be scoring him maybe around 40%. If I'm to do it with the scale of 100%, because when you talk about Nigeria, it's not about what you say, it's about what you actually felt. I can tell you now, importation is a serious problem. A good example is the issue of the car. Car has been increased by 235% increment. If you want to buy a car, if you imported a car, buy a car and import it with 4 million, you may need 8 million naira
to clear it.
That is about 11 million. If you want to buy cement, you could see the cost of bag of cement. If you want to look at school fee, since they came in, school fee has increased geometrically. So if you look at all those basic, and if you also go back to macro economy, our unemployment has not any way better, even though they changed the method of calculation. If you look at our inflation is not better, if you ask me, because even though with the issue of the reference year that has to do with rebasing, we still have our inflation very high compared to what it is compared to now. If you look at our forex, which is another macro economy to measure, they met it at around 500. It's about 1,500 naira today. So if you look at all this, it does not make the life of a Nigerian any way better.
Now, lastly, before we leave this issue on borrowing, is there some positive to take away from the fact that the president has managed to repay loans taken during the pandemic? It seems to be one of the much talked about indicators on how credible we are in terms of our debt profile.
I think that message is much more cosmetic to me, because if you are paying COVID-19 repayment, there's a repayment plan already, and which you have to embark on, which is normal thing that you should do. Does that simply mean we have defrayed or we have paid our debt? The answer is no. So I don't know why we are using it, and it's even a wrong optics for me, if you ask me, because that is telling you that IMF, World Bank, is telling you that, oh, you are now credit worthy. Since you have paid this, come and borrow more, which is not good at all for us. I remember, if World Bank or IMF is giving you money, they actually have their own conditionalities. You could see there's a new proposition from them now that you must increase some items if you want to actually borrow. If you want the economy to move, you must increase on seen goods or what have you. Some goods that will time to be seen. Your drug and what have you, you must increase. You know, a lot of conditionality. So they don't just come cheap, and it's called geoeconomics. Everybody should be start looking at their area. What actually benefits me? Why do you tell me to do A, B, and C? Of what will it be to my citizen and to my government? But the fact is that every government wants to see now. They don't want to see beyond. And that's why I said even this administration, I've not seen the economic plan that has to do with 2020. We used to have economic plan that will rule, but now as a state governor, they want to get the money now and to spend the money now, because they actually want to get more money. And that's one of the things they're actually supporting President Tinubu for, that governor now have more money in their disposal, at their disposal.
Well, moving past the conversations on the intention to borrow more, with a request from the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the National Assembly for an approval for fresh loans to the tune of $21.5 billion and 758 billion naira pension bond. It is on the need to be transparent in the use of this and the deficits in the 2025 budget occasioned by a global headwind in the price of oil. Now, moving on to political conversations, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, managed to convene its NEC meeting yesterday after a period of 1 year without its NEC meeting. We'll also bring you some of the highlights following the NEC meeting whilst we discuss this. Many had adjudged the picketing of the PDP secretariat at Wadata Plaza owing to unpaid ground rent as some of the moves, as alleged by the acting national chairman of the PDP, Alhaji Damagum, that the FCT minister was looking to frustrate the party's efforts at securing a venue for their meeting. At first, it was the Bauchi State Governor's Lodge that was the place they chose to reconvene, and much until we saw late hour activities yesterday, they finally found the spot to hold their NEC meeting. In terms of opposition's preparation, what's your view of this move?
Well, let me say congratulations to PDP, even though according to their secretary, he said there was no NEC meeting, simply because the secretary, did not even announce the meeting, and the constitution said the NEC meeting must be announced by the substantial secretary. That's another challenge on their part. But for them to have been able to come together, at least we could see some of their leaders coming together to discuss the part. I think it's a good one, because as a Nigerian, we want a strong, robust opposition, because when you have a strong, robust opposition, it will give the government in power a challenge to do more. And I'm happy that some of them actually came on board to actually show themselves and identify, because there's some faces I was actually seeing yesterday.
Yeah, speaking to the visuals there, right. You can see the governor.
Right, I was actually not expecting some of them there. Exactly, I was not even expecting. I could also see Governor of Samfara, Dauda. So the thing is, I did not expect that I would see them.
Alhaji Damagum, the international chairman.
I did not expect to see them
former Senate President,
yes.
Dr. Bukola Saraki there.
When you talk about structure, up till now, I think PDP still have the structure, because there's no any local government you get to that you not found a strong PDP person there. So I think they should take advantage of that. So with this, if they could have a neck meeting, I think can see Fintiri, you can see the governor of Bayelsa, you can see Makinde. So that's a good one for them. But I hope they will not keep on reducing. Because
but notably, talking about reductions, notably absent were the former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who is looking to make coalition plans. The FCT minister also notably absent here. In terms of the absentees, do you see this shifting the balance?
You recall that before this meeting, the FCT minister actually said he has actually withdrawn from all the agreement because he said he did not follow the agreement, and they actually accused Makinde, and Makinde seemed to be the strongest and oldest governor from the southwest, if I'm correct. So the position of Wike is saying that he will not going to cooperate with them. Then for Atiku is a serial defector. He's so convinced about how to defect better. So I think he's also looking to become a president, and to become a president, he's seen that the PDP cannot take him there, only PDP. So he's looking for other alternatives. I can tell you that he's still with them, but he's looking for a better coalition to actually make do of his opportunity. I actually listened to one of their board of trustees, Bode George, where he was saying that they are fully back and they are going to do what they're supposed to do. Then for Wike, a lot of discussion. You will recall that Damago actually mentioned Wike in particular, that he is trying to lock them out of the secretariat and what have you. But it's quite surprising sometimes. But I'm happy that President has intervened and said he give all of them 15 days or 14 days rather to actually meet up. But for me, you cannot be a party member and you see your party. Is what Wike can even pay. During those times that Wike was their core person.
Financier.
7.6 million is too small.
In 14 days.
Is it what any governor cannot pay? Even before now, is it what any governor of them cannot pay? Even a senator can pay that money on behalf of the party. But there's this thing that I'm not getting right. Because I seem to heard yesterday that PDP actually have bought that building. So I don't know how clear that information is. So if PDP have the owner of the building, what was there for them to pay 7.6 million? And for such long time. So I think they should also do well to pay so that they can have a good name. We can say, oh, people that want to lead us are also doing the needful.
Now, one of the strong points following that meeting is a comment made by the former minister and ex-Jigawa state governor, Sule Lamido, who has vowed that until the PDP expels the FCT minister Bryson Nyesom Wike and the ex-Benue state governor, His Excellency Samuel Ortom, he would continue to boycott meetings going further.
Right. So
do you think? Come on, the FCT minister has dared the party several times, saying that they cannot suspend him for anti-party activities, much like they did Dino Melaye.
You know, Lamido is always very, very factual and very, very, how do I talk, confrontational in his decisions. But I agree with him because if I'm one of a PDP member, I also be a proponent of letting Wike go, because there is no way he will not be a mole to the party. You cannot be FCT minister under APC and still saying that you are a full-fledged member of PDP. You know, that's a. But he has also dared them that if you have not seek any appointment from president, let us know. You know, that's another thing. But by and large, I think you cannot be half APC and half PDP, except a party like PDP who can tolerate that.
Now, at this point, let's also give our viewers the privilege to listen to some of the comments made at the NEC meeting, which in Dr. Aliyu Ilias's words is not a NEC meeting, since the National Secretary also said that he didn't issue the memo and wasn't present.
It's a meeting of PDP leaders.
PDP
leaders meeting.
Well, we'll take a listen to the acting national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Damagun, who addressed the press following what was a meeting of its leadership. Take a listen.
Of affairs of our nation under the irredeemably exploitative, insensitive, and anti-people APC administration of Bola Tinubu. NEC condemns the worsening insecurity, the wanton killings, banditry, kidnapping, marauding of communities, and other acts of terrorism in various parts of our country, emboldened by President Tinubu's apparent negligence and abdication of his constitutional duties to ensure safety and security of its citizens. NEC also laments the worsening economic hardship and extreme poverty in the country occasioned by the ill-advised and ill-implemented policies of the Tinubu administration, hike in fuel price, wanton increase in electricity tariff, multiple taxes, and unexplained charges on services, resulting in collapse of productive sector, closure of millions of businesses, massive loss of jobs, rise in criminality, and general sense of misery across the country. NEC also condemns the policy inconsistency, wholesale corruption, massive treasury looting, budget padding, and diversion of public funds that forbade the administration, resulting in infrastructure retrogression and loss of investors' confidence in our system. NEC restates the PDP demand that this administration should rescind all its anti-people policies and take practical steps to address the insecurity and economic recession in the country. Furthermore, NEC strip and annihilate opposition parties through open siege, threats, and intimidation of opposition figures and institutions of democracy in Nigeria. It is clear that this plot is born out of APC's mortal fear of inevitable defeat in 2027 due to its dismal failure in government. On the part of the PDP, NEC restates our party's belief in democracy, the rule of law, and the supremacy of the will of the people as expressed through their free and unhindered democratic participation into multi-party politics and governance. The successful convening of the 99th NEC meeting clearly communicates our party's unity and focus upon in the next NEC, which is slated for 30th June. NEC reassures Nigerians that the PDP remains strong, resilient, united, and determined now, more than ever before, in leading the charge to rescue our nation from the vicious grip of APC administration. Thank you. I said it in my communication. Thank you very much.
Now, this was one of the issues you raised on the announcement of NEC meetings. The acting national chairman has taken the liberty to announce the next NEC meetings date, 30th June. Let's start from his much latter comments and then we'll walk it back.
Right. Well, I think it's a good one. If there will be NEC meeting, we pray it will hold. And we expect people like Atiku to be part of the NEC meeting. However, it's good when we see robust conversation like this. It speaks to government policy. It speaks to what is happening to Nigerians. At the point they say, is it government of criminality?
He said the spate of rising criminality in the country.
So, and this is always good, but they've not done what I actually expected. You know, when you are analyzing bad governance, when you talk about first subsidy removal, as a party, you know, you're supposed to go back, do your research holistically, and bring it out so that PDP can also, APC can also come out, and you know, and when you are talking, always
setting facts and
exactly,
figures.
and when you are coming out, always come with alternative. You know, that's what Nigeria want to hear from you. You know, and that's what APC actually brought in.
Not just criticism.
Not just criticism. You know, you bring that if it is PDP, this is what we expect to see. This is what we would have done better. This is how we handled it, and you also bring reference, and so good. You have 16 years reference to make that if this, when this happened, this is how you tackle this, and that would have been a much more it would have resonated with people, because you know, we want something that will resonate with us. If you are opposition and you are bringing out facts and figures, we are ready to actually go with, because you know, we cannot say we have the best of governance. You know, every time there must be someone somewhere who speaks out against ill, of any administration, and that would have bring a better governance even from them as well. Because as it is now, if you are in governance and there is no robust opposition, because it seems we are driving towards one party system. Who knows, by next tomorrow we'll see one of these governors who attend this meeting who say they are now APC. I did not even see Governor Eno. And is not a PDP member?
Well, he has come out openly to say he is defecting to the APC, and his announcement caused some controversy because there were reported challenges with the media house who let that video out. And this morning, making front page focus was a statement saying he didn't suspend the media house. Now having openly declared that he is defecting and asking his functionaries to join him, do you see any challenge with that?
Right. I think he's not savvy enough in politics, because sometimes when you say you are defecting, you must not come out openly and tell that if any of your commissioner did not follow you, they should know they are gone. That message is not good politically, because if they are leaving PDP, right, to APC, indirectly, government will still have the structure of PDP in his hand. You recall, they have the chairman, they have every structure now. So if they still leave, they still have, so you can still control that, not to coming out openly. That shows that it's not politically tolerant. And that speaks to what APC is looking like now.
Now, two other governors, Governor Bayelsa, His Excellency Doye Diri, and Amadu Fintiri of Adamawa, have been saddled with the responsibility to chair the zoning committee of PDP ahead of the next national convention. Well,
that's a good one, and I think it's a good optics for them. When we see PDP doing things, not causing trouble, not defection, we'll be happy. But now that they are coming up to bring about different information, that will bring more confidence into their members and somewhat to Nigeria as well.
Now, one of the challenges seems to be on the position of its national secretary. While INEC continues to recognize Okoye, the challenge is the Ironwood-backed committee are also threatening that the Southeast caucus will be pulling out of the party should that not go in their favor. How do they sort of manage that issue?
I think it's a big threat to them, but let's stop talking about even Okoye and what about the chairman himself? You recall that position he's occupying is actually for North Central, and he's from Northeast. And that's why the imbalance that is happening in PDP that is causing the problem, until they get that balance correctly. And that's why I said, do they actually have a NEC meeting? But if I know we say now, I'm not the one who wrote to INEC that there will be meeting, I'm not the one who announced the meeting, that means the meeting is invalid. It's just a meeting of the leaders of PDP, not NEC meeting. So these are the things we need to look at. So PDP must get their houses right. That's why we talk about internal politics. It's the internal politics that will reflect the outside politics. If you don't fix your home very well, and that's what we should appreciate APC for. Remember, they came out from different coalition, a CPC, a MPP, what other party, there are plenty like that, and they still find a way to manage themselves internally until they are able, as PDP now, to manage themselves internally. I think that's when Nigeria will start having confidence in their in PDP.
Now, the other angle to this conversation, because you are asking that the former VP be present at its next national convention, the challenge with that is on the part of the coalition. I know the African Democratic Congress had said its platform was open, but following a meeting they held with northern groups over the weekend where Mr. Peter Obi was present, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar was present, there was some distortion by the Jigawa state delegates at that meeting, and it almost feels as though they're not comfortable with the ADC being the platform for the coalition. How does this affect some of the moves by His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar?
Well, I think, before I will go to that, I think Lamido's son was there, and according to people, I think Jigawa actually starts the trouble, which is expected in a coalition. Coalition is about interest. So everybody is looking at where. They also have two decisions on the table. Either they go with ADC or they register new political party. So in that case, they have to look at what actually is good for them. I think they still have opportunity of registering a new political party, because it's still more than 2 years. No, less than 2 years to the next election now. So they have the alternative. But when you see one party saying no, one party saying yes, that means there's another interest coming in. Who knows? maybe the hand of APC is also following them into the coalition. We cannot rule that out. But it's normal to have that, disagreement. But let disagreement not bring disunity among the coalition.
Another very big proponent in this conversation is former Kaduna State Governor, His Excellency Nasir El-Rufai, who had openly vowed that he doesn't see President Bola Tinubu standing a chance of re-election, and they'll be working to send him back to Lagos. This morning, he's also been embroiled in some legal battles. He's been fined 900 million naira in damages over illegal detentions whilst he was governor in Kaduna State. What do you make of his fate going into 2027?
So who paid that money? Is it Kaduna State government, or
he's joining the suit? He's joining the suit.
But that's quite interesting. But he did that on behalf of the government then. But when you have trouble with ruling government, these are what you cannot rule out. People will start looking for trouble for you here and there. You recall that he has actually had issue with his state assembly. At a point, it leads to the state governor, and it is expected. But we should learn how to actually accommodate. When he was in APC, he said the role of opposition is to condemn anything that the government of the day is doing, right? And it was comfortable for them hearing that from him. So now he's not on their side, and he's actually challenging them and bringing them to to question, right? So APC should be able to also bear that. I don't like the way APC seem to focus more on anybody that they seem to have the voice. And in his words, he said he has helped them a lot. And someone like us can also attest. He was the first person who said power must shift to the south, and he also backed President Bola Tinubu. I think there's a political way of solving this problem. Even as that now, if President Bola Tinubu reach out to El-Rufai, I'm sure they can still have a good conversation.
Now, the opposition in its comments following the NEC meeting as well, they were saying that the APC looking to get more defectors into the party is because the APC is scared of 2027. And they were saying that they would not succumb to intimidation.
Right. I wouldn't say they are scared, but they are preparing for 2027. It's a different language now. They are not scared, but they are preparing for. And every political party should find a way to actually prepare. Their next meeting and they are coming together also to prepare for 2027. But for me, they may not even be able to win the presidency, but I want to see them winning more governor seats. Because you know why? The South is still there for them to tap from. Right? Traditionally, most people in the South are for PDP. So if Governor Sheriff move to APC, it's also another opportunity for them to take advantage of the to use their tickets rightly in that area. If they could give ticket to the right person, people that resonate with people's yearning and what have you, they can still have their chance. So for me, they may not be able to win, because president is incumbent power, and it's coming up again. But they can prepare 2031 and actually fight very. But the question is that, are they going to bring somebody from the south in 2021, or somebody in 2031, or somebody from the north? This is the problem that we are having, because APC would have completed dealing with the south. They will be looking at the north.
Now, lastly, before I let you go, it's on the position of some destabilizing factors within the PDP. Because the former Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, was saddled with the responsibility of overseeing the Reconciliatory Committee. But off the back of the comments made by the revered Bode George yesterday that the FCC minister is betraying a party that built his political career, he, in the alternative, is saying that some agreements he entered to with the party are not being held. How much of a Herculean task does the former Senate President have in chairing that reconciliatory committee? It's
going to be pretty difficult, and I would advise, if it's possible, let them not try to reconcile with Wike. Because, the more you reconcile with Wike, the more you get it. Because even if you look at Anyanwu cases, Wike is saying that it's because Anyanwu is his friend. That's why they are trying to intimidate and make sure they take him away, right? So for me, if you are reconcile within your members, not to defect, leave Wike on its own, because the more you bring Wike into your fold, the more it causes more trouble for them, because Wike seems to be actually a bit stronger, perhaps because he's working for APC now, for them to actually force any law on him. It's easy for you to say all our party members should be united and should not do ABC, but in the case of Wike, you cannot stop him from like Wike will always have his monthly media pally, and every media pally is a bombshell. So you cannot stop him that, okay, every time you go to media part, don't speak about PDP. You know, it's pretty difficult. And you can see that indirectly they are losing reverse governor. Because I'm not sure when they come back, it's going to still stay put in PDP.
In PDP. Well, Doctor, I must thank you for your time on the program and choosing to share your thoughts and opinions on the issues in the news. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.